The sky over Kiev was tinged with gray, and the air was thick with the tension of the impending invasion. Taras, a 30-year-old soldier, stared out of his apartment window as the distant sound of alarm sirens echoed across the city. His heart was beating fast, but not only because of the fear that was invading him, his mind was occupied by the love he felt for Elena, his girlfriend. Elena was the light of his life. Her eyes, the color of a clear sky, made him forget the gloomy reality that surrounded him. They had promised to love each other forever, but the war threatened to destroy their dreams. As Taras prepared his military gear, he remembered the last time they had seen each other. The night before, they had been in the park, under a starry sky, sharing laughter and promises of a future together. "I promise I'll be back," he had told her, holding her tight. But now, as the roar of missiles began to echo in the distance, he wondered if he could really keep that promise. As the Russian invasion raged on, Taras joined his unit in defending the city. Days turned into nights of chaos and despair. The sound of explosions was constant, and images of destruction haunted him even in his dreams. Every time he looked at his comrades, he felt the pressure of duty compelling him to fight, but his mind always returned to Elena. The missions were grueling and dangerous. Taras had been on several operations, from ambushes to rescues in besieged areas. On one occasion, his unit had to evacuate civilians trapped in a burning building. As he helped an elderly woman out, the building collapsed behind him. Adrenaline and fear kept him alert, but he couldn't stop thinking about the sacrifices others made every day. As they ventured to the Kharkov front, Taras felt the weight of responsibility. He knew that each mission could be his last. Yet, despite the horror that surrounded him, his love for Elena became his refuge. The thought of returning to her, of embracing her once more, was what kept him going. As the Russian invasion raged on, Taras joined his unit in defending the city. Days turned into nights of chaos and despair. The sound of explosions was constant, and images of destruction haunted him even in his dreams. Every time he looked at his comrades, he felt the pressure of duty compelling him to fight, but his mind always returned to Elena. As the battle raged on, the city was transformed into a field of ruins. Uncertainty and fear grew among the population, and the need to protect their own became more urgent. One evening, as they prepared for an assault, Taras received a heartbreaking message. Elena had been captured by Russian forces and was in an unknown location. Taras' world came to a screeching halt. Anguish gripped him. The war had stripped him of everything, and now his love was in jeopardy. He knew he had to act, but his duty to his nation kept him trapped in a terrifying dilemma. Days turned into weeks, and the fight to recover Elena began. Taras planned a rescue mission, rallying his companions, who joined his cause. "We cannot let war steal what we love," he told them, his voice firm despite the fear that gnawed at him. As they prepared for the mission, the commander's words echoed in their minds: "Loyalty to one's homeland is the highest duty." But for Taras, loyalty had been divided between his love and his nation. As they made their way toward the location where Elena was believed to be being held, tensions mounted. Every step they took was a reminder of the sacrifice they were willing to make. When they finally arrived at the site, they found a fortified military complex. Taras felt fear and adrenaline rush through him. Would he be able to save Elena and, at the same time, protect his country? As they infiltrated, his heart pounded, and with each passing second he felt himself getting closer to the abyss of betrayal. Inside the compound, the situation became chaotic. Taras and his team faced off against Russian soldiers, bullets whistling around them. Sweat ran down his brow as they struggled to break through. Finally, he reached the place where he believed Elena was being held. The gate was locked, and a guard stood in front of it. With a cry of determination, Taras launched himself at the guard, facing his fate. The sound of combat rang in his ears, and every blow he struck was for Elena, for his love, and for his future. After an intense struggle, he managed to knock the guard down and open the door. When he entered, the scene left him frozen. Elena was chained, her face gaunt, but still beautiful. Seeing her, Taras felt that all the struggle was worth it. He ran to her and, in an embrace filled with love and desperation, they realized that time had stopped. "I've been looking for you," Taras said, as he released the chains that held her prisoner. But before they could escape, the sound of footsteps drew closer. They knew they had little time. As they headed towards the exit, they encountered a group of Russian soldiers. Taras made the most difficult decision of his life. "We must fight," he told Elena, knowing that his love was also in danger. With a mixture of courage and desperation, they faced their captors. The fight was fierce and heartbreaking, every moment filled with tension. Taras realized that he was not only fighting for Elena, but for the freedom of his nation. In that moment, she understood that sacrifice didn't always mean losing the one she loved, but also finding the strength to fight for what was right. As the battle reached its climax, an explosion rang out nearby. Taras felt the world fading away around him, and his mind grew cloudy. But amidst the chaos, he held on to the idea that his love for Elena was worth it. In the end, who was he if he didn't fight for her and his country? With time running out, Taras made the final decision. In an act of love and sacrifice, he decided to cover for Elena as she escaped. "Please go," he told her, his voice shaking. "You must live. My life is meaningless without you." Elena looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I can't leave you," she replied, but Taras knew it was the right thing to do. With a mixture of desperation and love, he pushed her towards the exit. "Go, and make my sacrifice worthwhile." As she fled, Taras stayed behind, facing the approaching soldiers. He faced death with dignity, remembering every moment shared with Elena, every laugh, every kiss. Their love became his last refuge, a flame that illuminated the darkness that surrounded him. The days went on, and the war left deep scars on the nation and the hearts of those who lived through it. Elena, safe, became an advocate for peace and hope. In her mind, she carried with her the memory of Taras, the man who had made the ultimate sacrifice for love. After Taras' death, Elena felt lost. However, the anguish turned into a renewed drive. She decided to bring medicine and relief to the wounded on the Kharkov front. As she immersed herself in work, each life she saved was a tribute to Taras, an attempt to keep his memory alive. The work was arduous and often dangerous, but Elena's determination kept her going. Her day began in a small operations center where deliveries were coordinated. With her knowledge and compassion, she was able to unite a group of volunteers willing to risk their lives for those who were suffering. Every trip to the front was a reminder of Taras' bravery, and Elena became a symbol of hope for many. In every smile she received from the wounded, in every thank you, she felt Taras' presence, as if he were with her, guiding her on her mission. As the sun rose over Ukraine, a new hope shone on the horizon, reminding everyone that even in the midst of war and destruction, love always finds a way to survive. Elena, with Taras' spirit in her heart, continued his work, ensuring that his sacrifice was not in vain. Through her dedication and love, Taras' legacy lived on, becoming a light in the darkness of war. If you liked this story, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.